What are the Chicago Bears getting in newly acquired offensive lineman Ryan Bates? We're going to talk a little bit about that, plus how this acquisition affects the Chicago Bears salary cap and draft picks coming up. We're also going to look at two potential targets for the Chicago Bears in the free agent market that have just been affected by the franchise tagging decisions around the league. All that plus a little bit of the mailbag right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. So I want to talk a little bit about Ryan Bates. Now, we did drop an emergency episode right after the trade was basically announced. Make sure you guys go and check that out if you want me and Steve-O's initial thoughts on the acquisition. But I want to talk about who Ryan Bates is as a player and what the Chicago Bears are getting in him and how it both affects the draft selections coming up, draft pick selection coming up, and the Chicago Bears cap space as well coming into this season. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into it. So Ryan Bates is an offensive lineman that has played all five positions all up and down that offensive line. He's played 980 snaps at right guard, 334 snaps at left guard, 203 snaps at center, 95 snaps at left tackle, and 29 snaps at right tackle. He also played an extra 51 snaps as an extra offensive lineman over that time. This is a guy who's versatile, right? And when you're looking at adding depth to an offensive line that has had tons of questions and also tons of injuries all up and down that offensive line, it makes sense they bring in somebody in Ryan Bates that is under a cost control contract at $5.4 million, and that he can fill in a lot of roles for the Chicago Bears. Now, I would go on to say is that at least right now, he's probably slated to be that starting center for the Chicago Bears if nothing else does present itself for the Bears don't go out and acquire a starting caliber center, whether it be in the draft or free agency. But that is where it kind of sits right now with Ryan Bates. He's coming in. This is a guy who's been versatile. Yes, he's had some injury concerns, but this is a guy who, he's going to be theoretically better than Lucas Patrick. He's coming in at about the same cap hit that Lucas Patrick also was for the Chicago Bears. So really no harm, no foul there. And he does have another season under contract in 2025. Now, the thing with it said is that the Bears could cut him after this year, and they would have to eat $2.6 million in dead cap in 2025, which isn't a huge loss if they did, have to cut him. And if he does stay in the books, he's on the books for $5.4 million next year, which when you look at it and say, yeah, $5 million for a backup is a lot of money. But when you look at the depth that's needed, the injury concerns that we've had all up and down that roster, especially when you look at Tevin Jenkins, he's never played more than 11 games in the season. It makes sense to bring him in. So, 2 years, a little over $8 million. With that said, 11 games. Tevin Jenkins never played 11 games. Nate Davis missed more than 3 games in each pass of his 3 years as well on top of that. And then you look at the questions, of course, with Braxton Jones, bringing in a guy who's going to play a lot, even as the backup, makes a lot of sense for the Chicago Bears. They're getting depth, somebody who can spot start for them or be a transition starter while they develop and build their next starting center or find their next starting center, depending on how you look at it. And the Bears are still going to have roughly about $75 million in cap space, good enough now for fourth most in the NFL. So really doesn't impact too much them being aggressive in the free agent market if they see a big name free agent that they really want or plan on building it out with quality free agents that maybe not come in as such a big cap hit. So it still maintains a lot of flexibility both in play with Ryan Bates on the field and the different positions that he can play. It maintains their flexibility with their salary cap this season in bringing in free agents, and they have the ability to cut him next season or prior to the start of next season and it not be a huge cap hit in dead space to them either. So this is another calculated acquisition by Ryan Poles, and that's what Ryan Poles really has brought to the Chicago Bears. When he does make moves, they are always usually calculated, and you see them in, is it a bit of a risk giving up a 5th round pick? It is what it is. We found success in the 5th round, but I think when you look at the depth and what we need, how drastically we're going to need the offensive line to be as solid as possible in depth there, it's a calculated risk and a smart risk by Ryan Poles in this case. Now, of course, people have taken this acquisition and have used this to try to say, what does it mean for, the trade of the number 1 overall pick? The Bears now are going into into this upcoming draft with only 5 picks in this draft. And I think we've become accustomed to Ryan Poles acquiring more, which has led a lot of Bears fans to say, hey, we're definitely trading that number 1 overall pick, which I don't think is necessarily the case. Yes, we have 5 picks now in this draft. We're at number 1, number 9, number 75, number 111, and then number 123. So there's a gap there between 9 and 75, clearly. There's a gap there between 75 and 111, which is the 4th round pick. But overall, the Bears still have 2 first-round picks, a third round pick, and 2 fourth-round picks as well. And that's not to say that Ryan Poles can't still trade down. That's not even talking about the historic haul for the number 1 overall pick. And Poles continues to maintain flexibility in whatever decision he decides to make with that quarterback role, which we've gotten some more speculation on. We know now that the Chicago Bears tried to schedule a top 30 meeting with Caleb Williams, which would have given them all their medicals, and that's kind of looked at as the last maybe hurdle to clear for the Bears, so they can have all that information, so they can go ahead and feel safe in their decision to draft him. We even got, of course, the typical rumors that you can expect. More coming out from Albert Breer saying that he's cleared all the hurdles and he separated himself from the rest of the QB class for the Chicago Bears and things like that. But I think ultimately it's just the same thing remains to be true. Ryan Poles has the flexibility to do whatever he wants, and he maintains that flexibility. And keep in mind, regardless of what he trades, whether it's the number 1 overall pick, whether it's Justin Fields, whatever, there's theoretically another additional pick coming in this year's draft if that the Chicago Bears do seem like they covet. And if they can get in that second round, get another future second rounder, whatever it is, on top of all of that, having 6 is going to be solid, right? And so I think either way, the Bears are going to walk away with 6 to 7 picks in this draft, whether that's moving down from number 9, they can even move down to number 12 or something like that if the guy that they want's there, and get a 5th or a 6th in this draft. So still tons of flexibility for Ryan Poles there. I've seen a lot of you guys talk about it as if, oh, that means absolutely they're either trading Justin Fields or they're trading the number 1 overall pick, because Ryan Poles just have to have more picks. 5 picks, let's already say, is more than enough in most NFL drafts, depending upon how aggressive they really are in the free agent market. But so, I do expect Ryan Poles, if the position or opportunity presents itself for him to obtain more draft picks. But let's not act like that's a foregone conclusion just because that's what he's done before. So it's, again, Ryan Poles makes a move that doesn't really add much clarity to the QB situation, and that's how Ryan Poles loves to play, and he's in a position right now where you want a player to be in, period. He's in that position. He is playing this perfectly as far as leaving all opportunities open, having been able to talk to a lot of teams as well still on those type of things, and, we'll see what comes of it, whatever it does. I know it triggers fans one way or another to hear, Ryan Poles could lean this way, Ryan Poles could lean that way. And, we'll see what happens with it. But with that said, there were some dark horse candidates listed that could be in on the Justin Fields trade if the Chicago Bears decide to do it again. Hopefully the Bears, well, not hopefully, we'll see what the Bears do. But the New York Giants were actually listed as a potential trade partner, considering Daniel Jones and his recovery from ACL injury. Now, I think that this is, it is, I don't believe that one at all. That this one comes from Bears Goggle on Parker Hurley over there, list them as a dark horse candidate, as well as the New England Patriots is also listed as there as one. I think that kind of makes sense. I think the Patriots make some sense with the Chicago Bears of being one of those teams that could trade for him. And of course the Miami Dolphins. These all teams make sense as far as where they're trying to go if they decide to do that. I think that this is another thing where it's people trying to grasp at headlines rather than grasp at facts. And, with Tua being what he became, he's a free agent next year, but I don't think that they're going to be looking to acquire a Justin Fields when you have Tua. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me, right? So the Patriots, of course, make sense because of where they are, but I think they're comfortable getting whatever quarterback falls to them. But we'll end up seeing what happens with that with the Chicago Bears. But moving off that topic, let's move into a couple of free agent acquisitions that we've talked about, Bears fans have asked about. Brian Burns being one of those guys. He was actually franchise tagged by the Panthers, so he is not going to hit the open market. It's either going to play on that 1-year deal, or he's going to reach a long-term contract with that team. And we'll see what happens with it, but that takes him off the board. Still more than enough depth at that position in both the draft and free agency that the Bears can really look to increase the skill level there and find a partner on the opposite side of Montez Sweat. So I'm not too worried about that. But then Saquon Barkley The Giants came out and said that they will not franchise tag Saquon Barkley, even though we got a couple of hours left. Still awaiting what the Bears are going to do with their franchise tag decision on Jalen Johnson. But so everything kind of points towards that. I still don't think that the Bears spend a whole heck of a lot of money at the running back, and Saquon would take a lot of that. So, I don't expect that to happen. When you look at it, the Bears had the number 1, number 2 rushing attack in the league the last couple of years. Yeah, we don't have that big name running back, right? That's just that's a star, but I think we got enough depth there. And per Dylan LeBow, who I talked about yesterday, I think the Bears could add some more quality depth in that as well later in this draft if they decide to do so. So I don't expect Saquon Barkley to be on the Bears target list, even though some Bears fans really would like to see it. But we'll see what comes of that. But with that said, we're going to get into the mailbag. But before we get into the mailbag, we got a message from one of our sponsors, and that is Aura. I'm sure most of you know anyone can find anything on the internet, including your full legal name and personal email, your home address, phone number, and even your relatives. For me, personally, I never took this kind of stuff seriously, that people can take my personal data and use it for their own financial gain. Well, in 2019, I got my identity stolen, including my social security number and credit card information, and it was a total nightmare getting it all sorted out. From recouping loans that were taken out in my name and shopping sprees on my credit card, there are some really bad people out there, and it's sad to say, but it's true. Do a Google search for your personal information or someone you know and see if a people search site shows up. The information is easily accessible because of data brokers who profit by selling your information to robocallers, telemarketers, spammers, and anyone else that wants to learn more about you. And so for me, protecting my and my family's personal data and information is at the utmost importance because of the terrible experience I had 4 years ago. That's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, Aura. Aura will identify data brokers that are exposing your information and automatically submit opt-out requests on your behalf. They will even opt out of junk mail and telemarketing lists. Aura also monitors your emails and passwords to see if they're involved in any data breach and exposed on the dark web. Aura's app also features VPN password manager, real-time credit card and identity theft monitoring, internet parental controls, and protects your device from malware. Aura has almost every internet safety tool you'll ever need, all inside one app, which is what makes it so amazing, so that you don't have to use multiple platforms and sites to protect yourself. Let Aura do the hard work, keeping you safe online. And if you sign up right now, Aura will give you a 2-week free trial with my link below. You'll be shocked at how much your private information Aura finds exposed over 2 weeks. I was shocked at how much my information Aura was able to find when I was using the app. Go to aura.com/CBC to start your free trial. Also linked in the description, or you can scan the QR code here. Now back to the video. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get into the voicemails for today. This first voicemail, this one is from Darius.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Darius from Dallas here, man. I had a question about this left tackle. Some people think it's a dilemma. Some people think, Braxton Jones is fine. I think there's something to be desired there, and we can improve on it. So I'm looking at, being out here in Dallas, man, I got to see all of Tyron Smith's career, just about every snap. I know he's a little bit of an older guy, but I do remember when we brought Jason Peters in, and he gave us a good season, man. It was some of the same things that they were saying about Jason before we brought him in. They were saying that, he's injury prone, he can't play a full season. And, we got a good, I want to say 10 games out of it. I can't quite remember, but I think it'd be good for Tyron. For Braxton to learn up under a guy like Tyron Smith for a season. Go train with him, eat with him, sleep with him, shit with him. I want him following Tyron Smith everywhere around that Bears campus so that he can learn how to be a good left tackle. I think that'll be good for him. It'll give us some depth, because Braxton Jones is serviceable. He's not horrible. But I do think that there's something left to be desired there. And Tyron is a free agent. I don't know if they're going to re-sign him yet in Dallas. I do feel like, they probably won't. They probably want to go younger. So that might be a good guy, man, that we can bring in for 1 year. That'll absolutely solidify the line. I mean, even if we only get 8 or 9 weeks out of him before he goes down, we feel comfortable with Braxton coming in there with some rest and fresh and doing even better. And maybe even learning a trick or two from Tyron. So that's just a little interesting thing. I thought about that as soon as I saw that he was a free agent. Let me know what you guys think, man. I think getting Tyron and a center will pretty much solidify that offensive line for us, man. And if we can get a healthy Tyron, look out. Even if it's only for, like I say, 8 to 10 games, and they'll be good for Braxton Jones as well. And he's probably not going to be demanding that much money. I don't think he's going to be demanding top left tackle money. We could probably get him for like 8 or 9 for like, I don't know, maybe a year or two. But let me know what you think about that, man. Check this up. There now.
Shout out, Darius. The thing that you said there that I love, Braxton Jones leaves much to be desired. And I think that's a fair estimation because he still does show a lot of promise, and maybe he can develop into that consistent starter that we all want him to be. He needs to learn how to handle the bull rush better. He needs to be able to stay healthy, right? Those type of things. But there's still more than enough in Braxton Jones' potential that the Bears may very well look at and say, hey, let's add some depth. I think the acquisition of Ryan Bates may point to that again, even though I think he's probably going to be the starting center, but may point to that. And I think the Bears are going to be able, if they decide to go, offensive linemen in this draft, find some quality ones late. But if they do decide to go free agency, I love the what you presented there as an opportunity, right? A guy who, is gonna be basically on a 1-year prove deal, so to say, right? You can acquire him, and then if he doesn't play a whole heck of a lot of games for you, you're probably not gonna pay a whole lot of money for him. But I think we've seen that the Bears do want to improve. I think center is gonna be kind of the focus first, getting a young center in here, even with Ryan Bates. And if you do get a young center, if you can get into that second round where there are some starting caliber centers at, and then move Ryan Bates to more of a depth piece, then you're getting the best of both worlds there, right? So I think that may be the case in the route that the Chicago Bears go, not guaranteeing it because it could still go any way for the Chicago Bears. But I think Ryan Poles, what's the word of the day? Flexibility. He maintains that flexibility, and because of that, it really leaves all doors and avenues open for the Chicago Bears to do and acquire something. Talent acquisition is the biggest thing, right? You want to protect your quarterback, whoever that quarterback is. You want to make sure that they're protected, and we haven't done that. Nate Davis, we acquired him. We got Darnell Wright last offseason, so that was a shot in the arm, theoretically, that the offensive line needed. Now, Nate Davis wasn't able to stay healthy. We had injuries all up and down that offensive line with Tevin and other players, so we weren't able to see that consistent continuity out of that group. But hopefully, knock on wood, we get to see that this season. I do think you're going to be some key acquisitions at some positions, and then we'll get to completely evaluate. But Braxton Jones leaving a lot to be desired. Completely agree there. But he still has shown a lot of signs of promise, too. And Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren may not be ready to give up on that quite yet, but I guess that remains to be seen. All right, let's get into the next voicemail, the last voicemail for today. This one's from Fred.
Hey, yo, Haize, what up, man? It's your boy Fred. What it do, man? Man, it's almost that time. Fred's almost here, and we got the draft right around the corner, man. I'm just looking to see which position the Bears is going to sign as far as, the free agent. I hope that we do, sign Jalen Johnson back. And, yeah, I know I was rough on Jalen Johnson during the start of the season and everything, though. But, he earned this money, and I can, respect that. And I hope, the Bears do sign him to a nice contract that give us, some years with him, and we get Danielle Hunter. And I was watching the combine, over the weekend as well. And, I like some of the guys that was out there, I like some of the linemen, and I hope we get land, at least a top, if we can't get a top guy, in the first round, as far as, on a tackle side, I'm okay with us, getting the offensive tackle, in the second round or somebody that can come in, that can start right away and protect Justin, blind side or whoever may be the quarterback of the Bears. And also that we get, some depth, at the 2-guard position, and we get us a true starting center. With them 2 first-round picks we got with the 9th pick, I'm okay if we, draft that center from Oregon. What's his name? Powers? Yeah, I'm okay if we get him as well because he's one of them centers that you could tell can set the tone, and the rest of the line will fall through. Not only just him setting the tone, with a healthy Tevin Jenkins setting the tone, and the Darnell Wright, and whoever's the other tackle. You know what I'm saying? So we can have our line to be strong and nasty as well, because we definitely don't have that type of mentality on the O-line. And we get some, receivers. I seen that boy Worthy from Texas. He running 4.2. Now, you think his stock could have went up because he ran a 4.2 and he did good at the combine. So you let me know you think the Bears might end up trying to draft him over Marvin Harrison Jr. and Rome Odunze, because that boy, I ain't gonna lie, and he did it twice, running the 4.2. So I just want to know your take on that as well, man. And I just want to see the Bears be successful. And I just want to see them do right, get into the playoffs and start pushing for Super Bowls as well too, because it's been a long time, man. I figure we got the right coaching staff. You know, we add some pieces to it. We get us another end, and we get us another safety. Because if we get Danielle Hunter, motherfuckers better watch out, man. We we gonna be mad. Look, I'm just gonna wait, man. I'm just patiently being, you know what I'm saying, waiting. I'm just waiting to see Ryan Poles gonna trade that pick and get multiple picks to help this team out so we can continue to win. You know what I'm saying, as we, you know what I'm saying, come. So just let me know what you think, man. You know, I love what you boys do. Keep doing what y'all doing, man. I love y'all show, man. I love calling in, cracking up, laughing at you guys every time I watch y'all show, man.
What position do the Bears sign in free agency, man? That's the question, right? And I think that's going to help kind of dictate or let us know what way they're going to go in the draft as well. But they have all options open. So I don't know if they're going to go O-line in the first round and do that over wide receiver per your question. It really depends on how much they value pairing a young wide receiver with DJ Moore and with either Caleb or Justin Fields, how much they value that. Because, listen, there's some really quality. This is a deep draft and free agency period for wide receivers. The Bears could theoretically sign a veteran wide receiver and get one in the draft as well. Or they can get two in the draft. You can get one that could possibly be your slot wide receiver. Then Tyler Scott still involved in that as well. Darnell Mooney could be that veteran we end up holding on to. So there's a lot of different routes they can go. But if I had to say my personal leaning, I think that they're going to go wide receiver because those top three wide receivers in this draft have separated themselves. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is clearly the best one. But both Roman Dunze, Malik Neighbors as well, I think they're head and shoulders above most of the other wide receiver prospects in this draft, even though you can still get some really good ones after them. And I think that if they really value that wide receiver and want that with Shane Waldron's offense, which I think may be that a big part of that as well, that may dictate it because you can get some really solid starting caliber or at least really good depth piece offensive linemen in this draft later in there as well. So it really depends on what they do in free agency, how they evaluate the talent both in the draft and in that free agency period, and what position they feel like is the one that they have the talent in the draft that can hit that high highs, right? So, and Powers, don't make no mistake about it. Jackson Powers is like he's a dog, right? And if the Bears were to go ahead and decide to bring him in with that number 9 pick, I don't think that you can really knock it too much. So you know, it really depends on how they Jackson Powers Johnson. That's what it is. Well, I say Powers Booth is an actor. So you know, it really depends on that and what the Bears decide to do that. So you know, we'll end up seeing, man, but I think ultimately Ryan Poles has played this really, really well. Not perfectly, but well. And we'll get our answer soon. But the first answer that we're waiting on is what happens with Jalen Johnson today. We're getting this daily episode out. You guys know soon as information comes out on if Jalen Johnson was franchise tagged or not, we'll have a video out shortly after the decision. But make sure you guys are following the channel at Chi Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, thanks to you guys. And like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.